Hey everybody, hope everybody's good. Trying out this new horizontal streaming on YouTube. Not sure. Looks like it has my RuneScape picture up there in the horizontal stream. But that's okay. Let's make sure we're streaming live on X and also Twitch. Okay, great. So back again, guys, here with another vibe coding stream. So today we're going to be working on something called driver ID. And really, if you're new to this channel, so this channel is really about vibe coding. So we're using AI tools like Cursor, and using different models inside a Cursor. So Gemini 3 Pro, Opus 4.5, Codex 5.1 Max from OpenAI. And we're really doing a lot of agentic coding. So using multiple agents to write code, and then also using Cursor's tool called BugBot to help us review that code. So really primarily the channel is about vibe coding. But we do talk about some high level AI topics here too. So if you're interested in kind of some of the big ideas that are continually getting discussed in the AI space, you can go check out some of my interviews. Usually I just give some high level commentary on if I see a meaningful interview. I try to give some commentary on it. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can go check out my interviews. If you're interested in just vibe coding and learning how to vibe code, you can go check out my vibe coding streams. So first I just want to show, and what we may do, hold on, I just need to look at one thing here. Let's grab this image. So if you can see here, I'm trying out this new YouTube vertical streaming thing, and you can see here it's showing my RuneScape window instead of my face, right? So I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT if it's familiar with this. I am using the new vertical crop streaming feature from YouTube, and it looks like it's not showing my face in the top left hand corner. Can you look into that, or is there any way to modify this? I guess I have a camera feed and then 2 screen capture feeds. You guys, until we figure this out, let me see if I can modify this here. Let's see. Settings. No, once you start stream, I don't think you can make any modifications or remove that. That's okay though. What I am going to try to do is on OBS real quick. I've never done this live here, so bear with me, guys. I'm going to move this over here, just like that. I'm going to put my face over on this side here. And now let's see if we can. Huh. Okay, we'll figure that out eventually, guys. Maybe we may not do the vertical crop streaming, but let's just go ahead and get into it here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Now I can see my face on the vertical crop stream on YouTube. Beautiful. Okay, so nice. Nice. I just had to move my face over more towards the vertical of the screen here, or more towards the center of the screen. Okay, so let's pull up what we worked on the last stream. So we've been working on this coaching platform, right? So again, and I went ahead and moved a lot of this code over to production. Don't have the best workflow for this yet, but we're going to be working on kind of building a better workflow for our agentic coding. But just want to quickly go through some of the items that we worked on the last stream. So let's go back to analytics. Okay, cool. So on the last stream, we built out this coaching, really this safety coaching functionality. So what this does is anytime there's an event, we'll run some AI model analysis or use some of open source AI models to help us do some analysis on an event. So the camera triggers events like hard brake, quick acceleration, erratic lane departure, following too closely, forward collision warning, right? Lane departure warning, shock or severe shock, things like fatigue. And let me just go ahead and show you some of these too. Let's go to reports. Yeah, so if I come to reports, you can see the camera is using doing edge AI, right? So at the edge, inside of the cab of the vehicle, there's some AI running at the edge, and so it's looking for things like fatigue or distraction or phone use, right? And so if I come check out one of these events here, this one was a fatigue event. Let's just take a peek at it. And so what we do is pretty much a fleet manager would have a fleet of vehicles. And guys, we're building B2B AI SaaS apps on this platform and vibe coding them. This is a telematics video platform that's a little more mature, but we will be building Blue Cactus AI together, which is really going to be a agent's business. So building really miniature digital employees for SMB and helping them build a cognitive wrapper and context awareness engine around their business workflows. And so we're going to be doing this, vibe coding this, right? This is our telematics video product, which is a little more mature of a product, right? So this was the fatigue event. And you can see it's probably because my eyes are closing a little bit. I yawned. There you go. That's the fatigue right there, that yawn. And so the idea is if there was an event that looked severe, a fleet manager, whoever's responsible for the safety of a fleet, would go ahead and run a coaching event. And that's where we'll go ahead and run that through our safety engine. And we're going to do some analysis on that event. And really the idea with this is trying to shift from normally in this industry, safety video telematics. It's very reactive, right? So you have an event, the fleet manager finds out about the event after. Then they'll log into the platform, review the event, and sit down with the driver. So it's a very kind of reactive type of thing. And let me move Twitch down here, guys. That's kind of a reactive thing. So really what we're doing with this project is was the yawn from that stinky winky? But no, I think it was a little early in the morning. Not that stinky winky. But yeah, so could have been though. Could have been from the Stinky Winky. Now, so pretty much what we do is now we go ahead and do, and please guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. So again, we go ahead and do this analysis on the video object detection depth estimation, trying to identify any objects that are relevant to this specific event, right? So all the events are different, and different objects may be relevant for different events, right? And so this is the video where we do the analysis. Then we're building a report for the driver. So here's a driver coaching worksheet, and you can see that we give some details. So we give some detail on what we think the severity of that event actually is, right? And then we say, okay, what's the snapshot of the event? The driver was involved in this DSM event, and we're still working through this and trying to really refine this. And one of the things I want to do on this channel is actually start to train a smaller model and start to put together a data set that we can use to train an object detection model on the objects that are relevant for us. So a lot of these models will come pre-trained on a certain data set, but all of the objects that we need are not always included in those data sets. So one thing we're going to do is try to annotate and label some data and try to train a model on this channel. So if you're interested in that, that's another item that we may do. So here are some questions for the driver, and then the idea is the fleet manager and the driver would sign off on this document, and then we can look at a reconstruction of the event. So here we have a 3D reconstruction of that event. Now, and so we're on the last streams. If you're interested in how we got here and what we did to build this safety coaching platform, you can go check out the last live coding or the last live streams that we did, vibe coding. So today what we're going to be working on is we have let's see, let me get the query here. Okay, so right now we have these new events called driver ID, and let's just go ahead and select all data where event type equals driver ID, right? And so we have these events called driver ID. And so the way that this works is pretty much when you get into the cab of the vehicle, it will take a picture of your face, right? So let me see if I can find, let's see, percent match. Let's go. One second, bear with me. Let's just use. I have this query somewhere from event media. Okay, here we can use this query right here. So let's grab the latest event log ID. Okay, here we go. Where event log ID equals this. So right now I'm just trying to show you what the image looks like. when we step into the cab of the vehicle, it sends an image, or it takes a picture of your face, pretty much stores it into a database, and then the next time the driver gets into the vehicle, it takes another picture of his face, and then it tries to match it against the existing pictures of the driver's face. So let's go ahead and run this query here. Okay, so here you can see, let's see. That's quotes. Okay, so pretty much you get into the vehicle, and the vehicle takes a screenshot, or the dash camera takes a picture of your face. And so if you look inside of this table, let's go into PG admin, and I'm not the best SQL query guy. Let's move this up. I need to really open a new session. Too many commented out queries here. Where's our query? Okay, here, let's put this right here. Okay, so pretty much it takes a picture like I just showed you, and it gives us a driver UUID, right? So you can see here that some of these are the same, right? So you have CCFB, CB3E. CCFB has 1 match, 2 match, 3 match. Right now, this is not always perfectly accurate. So what I have to do is we're going to be building a queue. So pretty much our partner that that manufactures the hardware has this face analysis software. And so they're helping us do this face detection, but they don't know who the end customer drivers are, right? They have no idea who I have customers that the drivers are Joe and Frankie, right? And the partner that we work with that manufactures or helps us manufacture the camera doesn't know who our drivers are, but they're able, just using the picture of the face. So remember, the camera will take a picture of the face. It stores it in a database. Then the next time that you get into the vehicle, it'll take another picture of the face, try to do some facial recognition and find a match from the existing pictures. If it finds a match, it sends the same driver ID to you again. If it doesn't find a match, it'll send a new driver ID to you. So what I'm going to do is, let me come to Cursor and let's Okay, so this is what we worked on. I did this off stream, but pretty much we have these new events called driver ID events, right, that are coming from the camera. And these events are getting saved to our table, the event data table. And the data structure of these events had some new arguments in that data structure. So what I had to do was drive around in my car, get these payload to come, log that payload, see what the new arguments are, and then make some modifications to an existing table, right? So pretty much we added some columns to an existing table, made some adjustments to our parser, And now we have this driver ID data in Postgres, right? So we have it in our table and it's available. So now what we're going to do is we got to create a new table to store drivers. So today, when customers come in here, let's go to get second. But pretty much when customers come into the platform, they can click right up here in the top hand corner, and they can see some details here about their account, and they can add devices to their account, right? And so one of the things that we're going to be doing is adding a section to add drivers, right? So we're going to add a new table to Postgres. We're going to create a table to add new drivers in. Then we're going to create a front end that is going to display all of these driver ID event types. So we have these driver ID event types, and each one of these driver ID event types has a driver UUID, right? So what we need to do is map this driver UUID that we're getting from the camera to our existing driver table. And so the idea is that a fleet manager or a fleet admin, and hold on guys, I'm going to turn on a little heat in here. It's getting a little chilly. Okay. So we're going to create a driver table, right, where an administrator can come into their account and add drivers to the driver table. And then we're going to start kind of matching or linking those drivers to the driver ID UUIDs, right? So I'm going to say above are some details on driver ID items that we worked on in another agent chat. What we need to do is create a new Postgres table so an administrator can add drivers. We're going to need to build this in a similar fashion as we built the device administrator. So today, organization admins or accounts that are an admin in an organization can go to devices and add devices into the devices table. We're going to need to build a new front end for an account admin to be able to add drivers into a new drivers table. Then we'll need to build another front end page for these new driver events. So every time a driver event comes into our system, it comes in with a driver UUID. And we need to have a front end to display all of the driver portraits and the driver UUIDs. And we need to build a system so an administrator can look at the driver portraits and start linking these driver UUIDs to an existing driver or a real driver. So then in our safety reporting, we can include who the driver is. So today we know, okay, there was a smart shock event for a specific vehicle, but we don't know which driver was in that vehicle, and this is incredibly important. So I want you to start thinking through this. Go read through all of the code, review the git commit history, so you can review the changes that were related to driver ID, and I want you to start thinking through this deeply and building a plan. Do not make any modifications or changes to the code yet. We are just brainstorming together. Okay. Let's go into plan mode, guys, here. Cool. Just gonna go fishing, I think, here. Let's come. Okay, we're at Catherby. But I didn't take money out of the bank. Okay, here's the bank right here. Ooh, I need to go get some cash out the bank. Okay, so we'll see what it says here. I'm clicking view plan. Okay, here we go. It's right here. Markdown file. Okay, data flow. Already working. Driver ID events arrive. Okay. Oh, here we go. Driver management system. New drivers table. Okay, here's the new this is new table. Deconstraint. I'm gonna send it my database ERD. I don't like that they don't have an attached file. Do they have an attached file? They have an upload image. I guess you can't attach PDF yet in Cursor, but let's go to, let's see here, documents. Review the ERD diagram and then think through this plan again. Ooh. Cool. I don't know if I talked to the Danny. Hey, it looks like I didn't go live on X. So just real quickly, just want to go through this again. So on the last stream, primarily what we were focused on was the safety platform, and we're going to continue working on this. But pretty much we have events that come in from the dash camera, and we're doing a safety analysis on those events. So we're using open source models to do object detection, depth estimation, and then we're using LLMs to start doing safety analysis on events. So these events are things like hard brake, quick acceleration, erratic lane departure, forward collision warning, fatigue, distraction, phone use. Pretty much we're trying to do an analysis on these events, use all the context, all the information that we have available, and then start building coaching reports, right? So use that context and the details that we have from the event. So things like speed, what type of event it was, what objects were in the scene. And then we start to build a plan or an action plan, right? Build some questions for the driver. And the idea is that the safety manager would sit down together with the driver and start working through some of this information. And it's really like learning content, right? And then they would sign off on this document together that they both reviewed the action plan together. They're going to take steps towards building a safer fleet, right? And this is a way to keep a record that you're not negligent, right? And you're taking steps towards trying to maintain a safe operation, right? And so then we have the reconstruction too. So here you have this is the 3D reconstruction of the event, right? So the idea is give the fleet manager as much context as we can give them on the event, how severe it was, and why we think it was severe, and what steps they need to take to try to mitigate future safety events that could result in an accident. And just the legal costs alone from a severe accident can take down one of these companies. So building a safe organization is incredibly important. And that's really what this safety product is about. So really shifting from more of the reactive safety where events come in and you deal with them after. And in this scenario, in the scenario I just discussed, you would also be kind of working with the driver after the event. But with agentic systems, we can start to review this data, try to get as accurate as we can, more and more accurate, and then start to get proactive, right? So distributing learning content to drivers in real time, trying to identify risky drivers, and then getting ahead of that. And so that's what we worked on the last stream. Today, we're working on driver ID. So trying to figure out, okay, we have all of these events, but now we want to know which drivers were in the vehicle when the event happened, right? So let's see here. Nice. So build infrastructure. Where would we get this data? Would our administrator add a picture of the driver, or after they link the driver to a driver UUID, you would take that portrait and then put it in this table? Where should, oh, nice. So this is the first time I'm using the, oh, I don't want to answer D. Where should the driver photo come from? Admin manually uploads a photo when creating, editing the driver. Automatically use the portrait from the first linked driver UUID event. I think I want to do that. Hey guys, so if you're just joining, this is a telematics video product. We're really working on two different products here. We have Blue Cactus.ai, which is going to be our agents business, and then we have this telematics video business. So this telematics video business is a little more mature, right? So we have pretty much we have dash cameras and vehicles, and these dash cameras record events, and so pretty much it records events like hard brake, quick acceleration, fatigue, distraction, right? And so here you can see here's a fatigue event. And it has multiple channels on the camera. So this camera has a forward-facing camera and a camera facing the driver. And it's using Edge AI to detect things like distraction and fatigue. Also uses an accelerometer to detect stuff like quick acceleration, hard brake, hard turn, shock, severe shock. And what we're doing is we're doing a coaching analysis on these different events. So we take the event, and this one might not be the best one. Let's take a... So pretty much then we take that video and we start doing an analysis on it, right? So we're trying to... We take the details from the event. Okay, what was the speed of the event? What's the type of the event? What was the location of the event? Were they on a highway on-ramp? Were they on the highway? Were they at McDonald's? Were they in a grocery store parking lot? Right? What was the speed? And all of these context is important. And so we take that context and then we try to build a report for the driver. And if you haven't already, guys, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. We're going to be vibe coding B2B apps on this channel. And also we talk about some high-level AI stuff. When I see meaningful AI interviews, I like to give my commentary. But after we get all this context, we build a driver coaching worksheet, right? And so we come up with an action plan and some reflection questions for the driver. So the driver has a severe event. The safety manager would sit down with that driver, print out this PDF. He'd go through these items with the driver. And this would help whoever's responsible for the safety of an organization. And this is any organization that has a fleet of vehicles, right? So any fleet manager that's responsible for that, this PDF helps them build a workflow to manage the safety of their drivers and help improve the safety of their drivers, right? And ultimately save lives. So pretty much they print this out, they'd go through these items with the driver, and then they would both sign acknowledging that they had this training session. And really this helps, especially with these organizations, if there's an accident that does result in a fatality, just the legal cost alone to fight the case can put you out of business. And if you don't have a record showing that you did your best to maintain safety to the best of your ability, right, that can look not great in the eyes of the law, right? You want to show that there's some sort of record, especially if you're having safety infractions, right? You want to make sure that there's some sort of record or record keeping that you tried to maintain safety. And then we build a reconstruction of that event. So a 3D reconstruction. And really what's cool about this is at some point what we can do with this is start to take these objects that we've identified in the scene in the video and start rebuilding this 3D scene, which really could be something cool. So let's see. Ooh. So, okay, so now let's come back to cursor. Let's see what it said. So I'm going to answer automatically. I think I'm going to automatically link it. I think this is okay for now. Okay, it's interesting. So what it's asking me is right now, we have an existing table. So we have a table where these events are in the table. And in this table, pretty much, where's my other query here? Okay, here we go. So we already have these portraits in one of our existing tables. Okay, here we go. Right, so we have these images, which is the portrait or the picture of the driver. And so every time an event comes in, a driver ID event comes into the system, we take that and we record that into that existing table. And this is the table where all events, so we have all these different type of events in our system. If I come to reports and I go to critical events and I run the critical event report, you can see all of these different event types are in the system. And one thing I need to do is actually get the driver ID. Let's just go ahead and do that now. I want you to go look in the reports service and look at the events that we're returning to the report. We need to add the driver ID event and make sure that we return that event so it displays in the report. Go into the report service, run get status to see if there's any modifications that haven't been committed, just to review that, and then check out to a new branch, make that change, only commit that specific change with a short and sweet commit message, and then push to origin. See if it can handle this. The driver ID event is actually one word. I believe it's driver ID, like this. Okay, let's see if it can do this. Guys, we're coding right now with Opus 4.5. It needs to go into the repository. So I always have this issue where, and it's okay, it's just the way that this particular code base is laid out, and I need to change this. But right now I have this directory that's not a Git repo that has all of these services. It's almost 14 microservices that make up this entire system. And each one of these services, so if I go into one of these services and run git status, you'll see that it's a Git repo, right? But the parent directory is not a Git repository. And so, you know, whenever I'm doing the agentic coding, it always tries to run some git command in the parent directory, and I have to say, okay, go into the subdirectory, right? That's the Git repository. I just have a bunch of services that live in this main parent directory. Now, really, with agentic coding now, it might make sense for me to, and all of these microservices live in different Git repositories, right? And in the past, that's the way we've done that. But I may want to change that moving forward. And if anyone has any ideas on how to structure this a little better to improve my workflow, especially with agentic coding. So in the past, I had never opened up all services in the IDE, right? I always was opening up one service at a time in the IDE. But now I'm opening up, 13 microservices because I want the agent to have all of that context, right? So here we have, okay, we're checking out to the new branch. Good. to the event types array. Beautiful. Good. Okay, nice. It's adding it. Nice. You can take a look at that change right here. All we did was add this driver ID to the event types that we're returning to the report. And here we're making the commit. We're going to push that. And okay, so now what we're going to do, guys, is let's get then, guys, I don't know if anyone's familiar with this, but what I can do now is now we have something which is pretty cool, which is Cursor Bug Bot, right? So we have Cursor Bug Bot running. It's generating a summary, which I actually find that I really enjoy the Bug Bot summary. And guys, this is Cursor Bug Bot. And so this is this feature called Bug Bot from Cursor, and it's an additional $40 a month. But what I found is when I'm moving incredibly quickly, if I'm moving incredibly quickly, I really need the Bug Bot to help me review these commits, right? So I'm moving so fast. Sometimes it's so much code to even try to get through with the human eye, right? And even if I hired 5 interns, right, I would still want them to be using Bug Bot so we can move faster together. And so let's see. Okay, so we still got Cursor Bug Bot running, which is interesting. Okay. Nice. So Cursor Bug Bot ran, no bugs, which of course I knew this is a very simple change. But let's go ahead and merge this. So guys, as soon as this image is done building, what we'll do is we will do a kubectl rollout restart. So which tools you're using for vibe coding? Hey, Durek, I'm using Cursor. Then I also will use the Codex CLI. So sometimes I'll use Cursor. And then I'll open up Terminal. And I usually use the Codex CLI. So I'll say, I just made some changes to the report service. I want you to look at the Git history and review the most recent change and tell me if it's a breaking change. This is a production system, and I want you to review and make sure this is working as expected. So then I'll use Cursor like that, right? So kind of using Cursor sometimes to do some sanity check. And I found that, using Codex CLI to do some sanity check on Cursor. And to be honest, some of my most difficult, most challenging issues, I've still found a lot of success with the Codex CLI. Seems to somehow just get very, very hard issues when other agents can't. So let's see if this is done running, guys. Docker image is still running. Once this is done building, we'll go ahead and run a kubectl rollout restart. And to anyone that's new here, I'm going to just take you very quickly through the system. This is a telematics video product. We're really working on two different products on this channel. One is bluecactus.ai, which is going to be an agent's business. So building miniature digital employees and helping SMB build like a cognitive wrapper and a context awareness engine around their business workflows. And so we're going to be building that together, vibe coding this together on stream, and also working on this telematics video safety product, right? So we have a main mapping page, we have live video, we have trips, so you can see trips that the vehicle took, any events. So in this case, this was an ADAS forward collision warning event. We can review this event. We can expand it into a larger view here. And so this is doing things like forward collision warning, lane departure warning. Here's the forward collision warning, if you can see. Shock, severe shock, hard turn, hard brake, stuff like that, right? So we take these events, and then what we're doing is we're building safety. Really, we're trying to build a safety awareness engine, or really helping anyone that has a fleet of vehicles implement a safety program, right? So you'll have any company, could be a service company, could be a long-haul trucking company, could be last mile distribution. They have a fleet of vehicles, right? As the fleet scales, safety becomes incredibly important. If there's one accident that results in a fatality, just the legal cost alone can put you out of business. So trying to get as proactive as you can, and also making sure that as a manager, you have as much context, as much information about safety events and which drivers you need to focus on. And really, this is a constant thing, right? You always want to be doing some sort of safety training with drivers to make sure that you maintain and run a safety analysis on one of these events, right? So if I go ahead and look at the video, here you can see we're using open source models to do some object detection and depth estimation on events. So we can see, okay, we have the context from the dash camera. So we have Edge AI running on the dash camera, and the dash camera is looking for fatigue, distraction, drivers that are on their phone. Also, hard turn, hard brake, using an accelerometer in the camera, right? And then we take that, and we take the video from that event and any of that event description, right? And then we try to do, using that context, then we try to add even more context with some video analysis, right? Trying to detect relevant objects. And then what we do is we try to build a report, right? So then we build a description of the event, try to say, okay, the safety focus for this event is low, or the safety focus for this event is extremely high, right? This was a extremely severe event. It wasn't a severe event. And that helps a safety manager take action and make decisions, right? So if there was an event that we flag it as extremely severe and high risk, right? Then at that point, the safety manager might come in, he might print out this PDF, sit down with a driver, and then go through this PDF together with the driver. So the idea is that, okay, we made some observations. So driver detected in 50% of frames during a DSM fatigue event. And we need to work on this because not all cameras have a driver-facing camera. But the reason why we're looking for the driver in the frames of the video is because the driver could just throw a t-shirt over the camera, right, and obstruct the view of the camera. So Daruk, this is all deployed on AWS EKS. So I'm not concerned about scale necessarily right now. If it does need to, I mean, the way the system is architected, or the way that we design the system, it's designed to handle the scale. It's really as simple as, scaling up the node groups or using Fargate to auto scale. So not as concerned about scaling. And, we're not running any open source models, or we're not hosting any this model, let me back up. So this model, we are hosting this model. It depends which model we're talking about. There is a smaller model that we are hosting. And I need to think about that more. I could just create a bunch of replicas. And if I have the workload running on the right GPU server, I don't expect too many issue. I'm not expecting a massive scale immediately, right? But that's definitely something, Daruk, that I'm open to thinking about. I definitely, if we have many different users running this analysis, or the plan is eventually to run this analysis on every single event that comes into our system. And so we need to kind of think through how we do that, right? But right now, we don't have incredible amount of scale, or we have users using this, but we're not doing this analysis on every video that comes into our system, right? Only on videos that the administrator decides to run the coaching analysis on. But definitely, if we start to, the idea is to eventually run the analysis on all events that happen from any camera in the field. And in that case, we may need to think about, okay, how do we do this using maybe, many different pod replicas, right? With high availability asynchronously, right? And kind of handle that increased volume, but shouldn't be too difficult to really think through that. So let's see. Let's come back to cursor here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a kubectl rollout restart. Okay, go ahead and do a rollout restart on the reports deployment. Should check the deployments. Okay, there we go. I don't think the deployments call reports. Now it needs to check all namespaces. There we go. It's called reports. Nice. Okay, so we just did a rollout restart on that deployment. Beautiful. Check the status of the rollout restart. Then what'll happen is once this is done, when I go run the report, I'm gonna start vibe coding because I know only sending prompt, but after the 20 messages, everything is confusing and all projects is not working. Yeah, Daruk. So first thing is you can go look at my live streams. If you go check out my older live streams, I think I have about 13 of them. And I actually built all of everything that you see here, this front end, doing this object detection, doing this depth estimation. I did all of this vibe coding. I did not write a single line of this code. Now, I do have some experience kind of over many different years. I really started as a sales guy, business guy, right? And managed developers over the years and eventually kind of absorbed knowledge and so I do have experience, so it's a little different for me. But what I would suggest is make sure you're using version control. So the thing is you always want to use Git, right? So using that version control, if the project breaks, you always need to be able to go backwards, right? So, if something breaks, go backwards, and you want to make sure you don't make so many different changes at once, right? Try to keep the scope of the changes smaller. Move faster. Use version control. If something breaks, go backwards, and use AI to help you debug, right? If something breaks, go find the error, paste it back into the LLM. But what I would suggest is go start watching some of my live streams. Again, this is maybe something that I would not have been able to do if I was not vibe coding, right? So really, vibe coding is incredibly powerful, the pace of my work has really increased dramatically. We also did scheduled reports, so we have alerts here. We also did scheduled reports. We vibe coded scheduled reports. If I come to maps, we vibe coded these clusters, right? So and this is a 3JS, and this wasn't the easiest thing. So this is 3JS, and this is a 3D mapping system on top of Google Maps. And so there was no native call out to put or native clusters method like you have with Google Maps. So I had to build this cluster vibe coding, right? So version control, AI forgets the back prompts and starts. Oh yeah. So it will if the thread gets too big, Drew, it can't hold all that context, right? So if I don't know which tool you're using. Like if you're using GitHub Copilot, sometimes Cursor will do it too. But if you see that summarizing this content or summarizing this thread, usually that means you've hit the context limit. And so I would try to, if you're having a major issue where it's forgetting the context and the thread is getting massive, maybe that's when you should open a new thread, right? Open a new agent system. Usually what I'll do is if the thread gets too big, I just tell the agent, hey, build a summary for me of exactly, in a very concise way, what we've been working on in this thread. I need to pass it to another agent. Have it give you that summary, copy it, and then open up a new thread and start fresh. Would probably be my suggestion for that. So, interesting. I don't know. Try to check the status again. Nice. So you can see here's reports. You see the age on this pod was 4 minutes ago. So nice. It said it's successfully rolled out. So now if I come back to the tool, let's go to reports, critical event report. Should see. There should be a driver ID here somewhere. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the API call and I'm getting the response, and I'm saying I still don't see the driver ID events. I mean, I'm pretty sure I see one in the table for a recent day, right? So this is doing descending with a limit of 10. So here I can see there is an event with a timestamp of the 7th with an event type driver ID. So I'm also going to put the Postgres table here. And I'm going to say, I just ran a report and don't see the driver ID getting returned in the response. I included the network request in the response and also the Postgres table, so you can see the data is available in the table, but not getting returned in the response object from the report service. Yeah, Derek. My only advice would be try to if it's getting confused a lot, your scope is probably too big. Try to narrow the scope of what you're working on and break it into smaller pieces. If you can. This would be my suggestion. It always gets confused. No, I merged that branch into main in the GitHub cloud, so I know that image is available. Why don't you try to do a rollout restart on Next.ts? Sometimes I found that I need to restart the front end as well for some strange reason. It shouldn't be the case, though. No, let's do this instead. Open up the logs for the report service and follow them. I'm going to make another request. Sure, Daruk, no problem. And feel free. I'm going to be trying to stream as much as I can. I know I had a little gap there between the last stream and now. But you should hopefully be seeing me more often. And, any questions you have about vibe coding, feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to help. Okay, here we go. So now I'm gonna refresh here. Click generate. Sorry, 1 second here. Okay. I don't like, one thing that I don't like, and VS Code didn't have this problem, but in Cursor, when I open up the log, I can't press enter to create more space, right? Sometimes I like to create some space in the log, so when the new request comes in, it's easy to see. But let's just say, okay, I made another request. Review the logs. Okay, we're gonna restart. I don't think I needed to restart the service there again, to be honest, but let's just Check again. This is a Java Spring service. Okay. Open the logs and follow them. I just wanted to open the logs so I can see too. Okay. Connected to Redis. Okay. Let's go back one day. Huh. Interesting. Okay, I just made the request. I believe there should be a driver ID available within this date range, but it's not getting returned in the response object. Review the logs and give me your thoughts. So I was using Gemini 3 Pro, guys, and Gemini 3 Pro did have some really incredible reasoning, I thought. And I thought it was maybe actually a step up, maybe right there in line with Sonnet 4.5. And then, Opus 4.5 got released, and it's been hard to move away from this model. I've been really impressed with this model here. Let's query. Yeah. I'll try to give myself a little. Explain the join and the left join for a layman. Will this interrupt the service making this modification to the SQL query? It should just join the event media table on the data that has content type 4, right? I'm trying to decide if we should make modification to the SQL query or modify the parser to just make sure when we parse the data that we insert it into the table with content type 3. Give me your suggestion and your thoughts. Do not make any changes or modifications to the code yet. No, the driver ID does have media, right? It's just a portrait or a JPEG, a picture of the driver instead of a video, but it's still, I would still consider it media. Let me see what I'll need to just review this table real quick. Type today. Yeah, so here's the content type. Usually media, we have content type 3. So what we're gonna do is it only gave me one option. Give me the SQL query to check. God, so these are all content type 4. Okay, these are the driver ID records. It looks like they have content type 4 in the table. So how hard would it be to just also include media that has content type 4 and just make that small modification to the SQL query? I want to do this, but I want to make certain that it's not going to introduce any breaking changes. Okay, cool. Okay, go ahead and check out to a new branch, make the modification of the SQL query, and push to origin. Look at my activity. What I think I notice is when I move around, and I'm streaming to 3 platforms at the same time. One thing I've noticed too is cursor always has this Java process that's not responding, and it just kind of sits here using 985 megabytes. And I don't really know. It's a cursor helper plugin extension host, and it just kind of sits there. Wow. I don't know exactly what it does. RuneLight's really not using that much. I have no memory, no swapping, no memory pressure, but still, RuneScape does kind of has a little slight chop to it. And I'm not even doing anything crazy, just kind of walking around fishing. So let's see. Okay, we're gonna okay. We can pull main first. Hey, hey, Vesk, how are you? Nice. Now it's going to go ahead and push it. So guys, it's not getting returned because we store the driver ID events in the table with a different content type than these standard videos. So we have some events that are just content, that are just images, and some events that are videos. And we're declaring the images with a different content type than the videos. And so the driver ID, I put it into the table with a different content type than the videos. And so in the SQL query and the backend service that, the backend service, and I need to create a proxy for this, but the backend service that goes to query the database and return these results, was not fetching or retrieving data that had this content type that the driver ID has, and so we didn't see it in the report. So now we're just making a super small modification to the table, and we ultimately may need to also add some indexes as well, but for now we're just gonna go ahead and push this change. Okay, so let's go to okay, so okay, hold on. Let's see. Let's okay, let's go ahead and go into GitHub real quick. Create a new pull request. Okay, so I'm creating this pull request, guys, and then I'm gonna show you. So here's BugBot running. Cursor just went ahead and is going to be adding a summary to the pull request too, which is pretty cool. I need some chapstick, guys. Let me see if I can be right back. I'm gonna. Okay, chapstick may have to wait. I don't see it anywhere. That's funny. Okay, so cursor. Okay, here we go. So it's got a bug. Multiple rows per event. One for video, one for image. The fill results method groups media by checking users have the same event log ID. However, the order my clause didn't include. So I think we're not doing this in the query. We're doing, it's confusing, but pretty much an event, one event has many different event media rows, but they're all related to the same event. So what happens is one event comes in for a hard break, and that camera might have four camera channels, and those are 4 different media URLs. And what we do is we have the event in one table called the event table. Then we have another table, the media table. And so you get one event, which is the say it's a hard break event. And if that hard break event has 4 media URLs for the 4 different cameras, it creates 4 rows in the event media table. And then, but really when we look at the report on the front end, each one of these reports, if I come to, we run this again. If we run this again, you can see that we have this media URL here. So I'm going to say, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. And then we're going to go back here. We're going to say fix in cursor. This always confuses me. Okay, this link refers to branch, but your current workspace is on an unknown branch. All right, let's just go ahead and do that. It's fine. Failed to check out to branch. Interesting. I'm just going to say continue anyway. All right, no. So there's some issue there. I don't know. If someone from Cursor is watching, reach out to me and help me understand that a little bit. Maybe I'm just... let's go back to here. It should have just popped, because this agent chat, and I think what it is I have Cursor open in a directory that's not a Git repository. I'm almost certain that's what the issue is, interestingly enough. But so... So here we go. So what I'm going to do is say BugBot flagged this bug, but I don't think it's an issue because we are handling this in the application code and not in the SQL query, where when one event has multiple media rows, we create a media array and return that in the response object. I want you to confirm that this bug is not concerning, or I should not be concerned about this bug, and let me know if it's okay to move forward. So interesting. I'm actually impressed that BugBot, I guess it's not too difficult. When you look at the SQL query, you can tell that if it's getting, I guess the way how the result gets prepared, and it was able to say, okay, you should be ordering the result set in this certain way. And let me see what the bug said again. I mean, definitely interesting that it caught it, because I've had, you know, I've worked with engineers that have been working on this product in the past, and they've run into similar problems. Understand the issue one more time here. Where's our... Huh. Where'd my GitHub page go? Weird. Okay, reports, pull request. So again, guys, just kind of reviewing this before we move forward. I really want to look at the let's look at the actual change here. Look at the actual query. I really like the agent mode too. I don't know. I almost like the file system on the right-hand side more than I like it on the left-hand side, I have to say. Okay, so all right, let's go ahead and we're gonna click keep, and we're gonna go ahead and merge this. Okay, good. Okay. Now we're going to wait until that is done merging. Go to actions. As soon as this is done merging, we'll run. Go ahead and run the kubectl rollout restart on the report service again. See. It'll go ahead and prepare that command for me to run. Then I can just click run. Oh, image wasn't done building. Can you run the rollout restart again? Image is still building. Image almost takes 3 minutes for this particular service to build. So okay, image is done. Okay, so nice, it rolled out. Okay, now open up the logs for the report service and follow them. Nice. Okay, plans go into that cursor directory. At first, I remember I did the plan and it put it into my code base, and I didn't really like that. So it looks like it goes into a hidden cursor folder, which I like. Okay, nice. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and run another event. Let's go to network, let's refresh, clear this, generate. Nice, driver ID, guys. So here you can see driver ID. Interesting. So because it's an image, it's a little confused on how to open it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the browser feature now, guys. And I'm gonna go to reports. I'm gonna run the report. I'm gonna click this, and this is really sweet. So inside a cursor, I'm using the browser, and I'm using the browser, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click, I wanna select something. It's kind of annoying. I can't select the overlay. That's okay. All right, cursor. Well, you could take a look at that too. So I'm using a modal, I guess, overlay, and I can't select the element when I'm using a modal overlay. It's hard to even kind of exit out of it. So I'm just gonna say, when I click on the media button in the report for driver ID, it won't just display the image. I guess the code is built to handle MP4 media, but if it's just an image, it should be able to just display the image in the modal. Review the code and think through the exact changes we need to make to display the driver ID portrait in the report. This is going to be in the next TS front-end service. Okay, it found the issue. Okay, check out to a new branch and make these exact changes. Make certain that these changes won't introduce any interruptions to the service. This service is a critical service, and I want to make sure this doesn't introduce any breaking change. Okay, it's pulling origin, or pulling main, which is good. Always want to bring that code down. We're just gonna close down. Let's see, let's close this down. Close down some tabs if we don't need them open. Okay. So still looking for the chapstick, guys. Can't find it. Okay, it's making the modification so we can display images. So see if anything printed, any like error printed to the console. No. Didn't throw an error. Did you complete the changes? If you're done with the changes, go ahead and commit them and then push to origin. Okay, beautiful. Opus is kind of moving a little slow right now. Okay, it's almost done making these changes. No errors. We're going to commit the changes, and we're about to push to origin. Okay, beautiful. All right, so we got BugBot generating a summary here and looking for, okay, so here's the summary from BugBot. So this is what we just did. We added some image handling in the media dialog, including image detection, chaining existing video controls. Okay, looks good. I guess I merged it. I merged it too fast. Oops. I wanted the BugBot to run. I guess I accidentally, I thought I just opened the pull request. I didn't mean to merge that one. That wasn't what I wanted to do, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and so that kind of sucks. I wanted BugBot. I wanted to show you guys BugBot, kind of how BugBot behaved on that one, but that's okay for now. Let's just wait for this image to finish building, and then we'll do a rollout restart. Go ahead and do a rollout restart on Next.ts. Doesn't have the right deployment name. The deployment's not in that namespace. Let's see if it can figure it out. It still thinks it's because of the context inside of this chat. It still thinks the deployment's in a namespace called API. Just checking some. There it goes. Found it. Nice. Cool. Okay, so let's come to our front end. Nice. So there we go. So guys, that was vibe coded live right there. We just made a modification to the SQL query. We just returned a new event into the response object here. And now this media will display a video if there's a video available. And in the driver ID scenario, it's just an image. I don't look too hot right there. So if I go to inspect network and we run this again and we look at the response object, you can see now that here's an event type driver ID, right? And it has some media associated with that driver ID. Cool. So now that we have that done, go back let's switch to plan. Okay, I want you to review the context of this chat and review all the items that we just worked on together. And then I want you to review the driver management system plan and see if we need to make any modifications or changes to this plan. We still want to move forward with creating the new driver table, building a front end for administrators to add drivers, and then we need to build a front end similar to the coaching page, but it'll be a new page called drivers. And in this page, we're going to fetch all of our driver events, display them with portraits, and then we need to have a system to link those UUIDs to drivers in the driver table. Think through all the context we have available in this chat, review the plan, and see if we may need to make any modifications to the plan. And guys, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel a lot. Helps get this content out to more people. Really, I want to show really what this channel is about. Is I know that there's going to be a lot of people moving from entry-level white-collar jobs into maybe more technical roles, or as we see some of these kind of entry-level jobs get replaced by agents, there's going to be opportunity for some of those new grads that would have entered those roles to maybe use AI tools to get more technical, right? And maybe climb the ladder or move kind of horizontally from maybe that entry-level role into a more technical role. And so I know that there's going to be a lot of interest in coding. And I think, with AI, there's going to be more people, it makes coding more accessible than ever before, right? And so for that reason, really, I made this channel because I learned from a lot of smart people over the years, people that are a lot smarter than me, and really I want to return that favor and try to give as much information as I have about vibe coding and what I've learned along the way. And while we do that, try to have some fun along the way. While we do that, try to build some B2B AI businesses together. Vibe coding them, moving fast, and also talk about some high level kind of big ideas, big AI concepts, right? And if anyone's interested in that stuff, you can go check out some of my VODs, and I do commentary on AI interviews. So if you're interested in some of that, you can go check that out. If you're interested in vibe coding, you can go check out the live streams, and I've been vibe coding live, and a lot of what you see here was vibe coded live. So like a lot of this coaching platform, integrating these open models, all of this, I did vibe coding. So I actually built this entire system without writing a single line of code myself. Yes, Abra. And so, I do there is some sensitive things that I need to work on off stream, but I'm trying to show as much as I can on stream for all of you. So we'll be working on this agents business. So this is the safety platform that we're building, right? And really a safety program. So we're doing this AI analysis on events. We're building these reconstructions, so 3D reconstruction of the event. And the idea is eventually we're going to be taking these objects to taking these objects from the video and maybe putting them onto this 3D simulation. So laying these 3D objects on top of this simulation and building a full 3D simulation of the event. And then we have these reports, right? So right now what we're working on is driver ID. So today, when I get into the vehicle, there's a dash camera mounted, and I turn on my ignition, the vehicle will take a picture of my face. And what's important for safety is today we have a system where we add devices into the device manager, right? And events happen and they're associated with a device, right? So if I come to look at events, I can look at a DSM fatigue event, and this event is associated with a driver ID. But when you're thinking about safety and I need to make my fleet safer, right? I'm not trying to tell the vehicle how to be safer, right? I'm trying to work with the human driver in this case and try to deploy learning content to him to try to help him understand how to operate the vehicle in a safer manner, right? So it's important that we know which driver is in the vehicle. And a lot of these companies with fleets of vehicles, especially like a service company, there might be a plumber, right? And he has 3 vehicles, but he has 10 plumbers and a different plumber's in the vehicle every day, right? So it's important to know, I guess, which driver is in the vehicle when an event happens. So this driver ID system, it takes a picture. Every time a driver gets into the vehicle, it takes a picture of their face. It stores it in a database, and then a driver gets into the vehicle again, turns on the ignition, takes another picture of the driver's face. And what we do is we take those 2 pictures, we try to match it to the existing pictures. Right now, if there is a match, what we'll do is, let's see if we can just, okay, so pretty much it will send us a driver UUID. And if you can see here, some of these are the same, right? CCFB, CCFB, CCFB. So pretty much if I get into my vehicle again, it takes another picture. It's going to go review all the images that are available of driver images. And if it finds a match, it's going to send me that same ID, right? If it doesn't find a match, it'll generate a new ID. And so what I'm doing now is I'm going to be building a front end to display all of the driver portraits that I've received and the driver IDs. And then we're going to link it to a driver, an existing driver, right? So where should the new drivers page live in the navigation? Main nav, like coaching. Cool. So this is both. I'm liking the cursor questions, guys. Really, really liking it. It's really nice. So here's both. So what we want is we're going to want a page just like devices where we can add devices, but instead we're going to be adding drivers. So a company will come in, they create their organization, and they have drivers, Frank, Jennifer, Jim. They're going to add those drivers into the system. Then they'll get into the car. Their drivers will get into the car, and we'll start trying to do this facial recognition on the drivers, right? And then we'll start receiving these driver IDs from the camera. And so what an administrator will need to do, yeah, this is a real live, my friend. I'm here. How are you? So, when those IDs come in, we're building a front end for a driver or an administrator to look at these driver portraits and then link it to an existing driver in a driver's table, right? So that's why we're building this plan here. And so we need 2 different things. We need a section for an administrator to add the drivers into a new table. And then we need a new page, just like we have this coaching page, the alerts page, the reports page. we need a new page called drivers. So I'm responding to this cursor question saying both. Probably cards for unlinked UUIDs and a table for linked drivers. So when they mean cards, these are like cards, right? And when I come to reports and I look at critical event, this is like a table format. So the thing is when these portraits come in, when I come back to reports, I need a page where I can show all of these driver portraits in cards, right? Then an administrator comes in, they look at the pictures and they go, oh, okay, I know that that's Frank. I know that this is Jennifer. Abra. Hey, so this is it was a long road to get here. I was involved in really like GPS technology more as like a partner, a reseller, right? And I was involved in some technology called the electronic logging device, right? So at some point we have long haul drivers, and I don't know where you live, but here in America we have long haul. They call it over the road trucking. And if you drive a certain distance, you have to keep a log of how many hours you drive. And eventually the federal government mandated this product called an ELD logging device, right? And so I was heavily involved in really helping long haul truck drivers implement this ELD tech, right? And so it kind of started as a partner, more on the sales side, ended up kind of building out our own system, working with many different engineers over the years. And so now we have really lots of different partnerships and a bigger product catalog with different products. But this telematics video product is really a product that we're focused on. So it's really a camera that does both GPS tracking and video, right? So we can do live video reporting, AI coaching, AI at the edge, and really wrapping all this together with a focus on safety. So this product is a little bit more mature, but and you can go look at some of the past live streams if you're interested of what I've done vibe coding. But something like this was done purely vibe coding, right? So was able to get all of this done, integrate these AI models without writing a single line of code. Now, this business is more mature. Now we have another business called BlueCactus.ai, and this is using really what we're going to be doing is building like a cognitive wrapper and a context awareness engine and a cognitive wrapper around business workflows for SMB. And we're going to be building chat and voice agents. And so I'll show on live, maybe not today, but another day, I'm going to show you. I have a lot of this product actually built out. And I was able to vibe code this. Cool. Yeah, so a dev, it really ranges, but interns, 20, someone straight out of someone doing an internship, anywhere 20 to 35 depending on the experience, and then an entry level guy probably depends if you're on H-1B visa, like 77K I think is as low as it gets for entry level, right? And really goes up from there. If you're interested at some of the prices, I think there's a website called like FYI.levels or something. I think. Yeah, I think this is an interesting site where you can see how much engineers make at different companies if you're interested. But again, yeah, so we got this coaching system here. All of this is vibe coded. Didn't write a single line of code for this. So you see here, here's the object detection, depth estimation. We're also going to be trying to like build our own data sets and annotate and label our own data, try to create some synthetic data and train this model on objects that are, so this model comes pre-trained on certain objects, but we do want to train it on an object, like for one example would be a cigarette, if driver is smoking a cigarette. Oh, cool that you just talked about OpenStreetMap. So one thing I'm going to be doing live on stream is we need posted speed limit, right? So, so like right now we have alerts, right? And one of the, and please, guys, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow. It helps the channel a lot. But so we have these different alerts, right? And so right now we have a speeding alert that uses a static speed. But the problem with this is that, say you set up a static speed alert for 75 miles per hour, but if they're on a road where the speed limit's 40 and they're going 50, they're speeding, right? So we really need to know, okay, what's the posted speed limit on that street? And if they exceed that, then we need to send an alert. So Google, it's unbelievable, but Google charges an unbelievable expensive, or it's incredibly expensive to use their posted speed limit data. And so one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be using the OpenStreetMap database. And as new data comes in, I'm going to use OpenGIS Postgres, or I'm going to use a Postgres has, and I can't think of the term, a spatial. They have it can do spatial calculation, right? So I can use some of this spatial calculation technology, pass in a location, have Postgres figure out I guess where that what street, I guess, or where exactly that vehicle is. And I haven't really thought through this yet, but tell me where that vehicle is and cross-check it against the posted speed limit data in OpenStreetMap. And then send an alert. And so that's I'm going to be working on that on stream. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting that you said that, and I'm actually going to take a screenshot of that for later because that's kind of interesting. But interesting that you brought up OpenStreetMap. How was that experience with OpenStreetMap? This is just Google Maps right here. So, looks like music stopped playing. So, back to cursor. So we want hybrid. Click continue. Awesome. Nice. Okay. Okay, so we need to create these new tables. And we're going to create a new CRUD module. And then a new front end page. And yeah, bruh. So pretty much started working on in the space on the sales side. Eventually, built our own platform, and so that's kind of how I made it into this space. And then the agent stuff, just really following where how intelligent LLMs are getting, following things like Agent Kit from OpenAI, looking at what Anthropic is doing and trying to position myself to try to capture some of this opportunity, right? And I think one of the best ways for me to capture some of this opportunity is to build a agent's business, and try to network locally with SMB, and help them deploy some of these agents. And I've worked through a lot of this, and what I found is that some of these business use cases, they can't afford like below 70% accuracy. And so I want to build a context awareness engine and a flexible agent workflow platform, and like really like a cognitive wrapper that wraps around their business workflow, and helps them deploy these miniature digital employees, right? That we can test aggressively, kind of use a multi-agent system to test these agents before deploying them into the real world, and then deploying them and trying to make certain that they're accurate and responsible. So that's really what we'll be working on. Yeah, so let me see. This is really what I've built right here. Let me come into... let's go. I want you to review these services and explain in a very concise way exactly how this system works. Look into a fast flag in the hotline service. Tell me how this service works in a concise way. And also tell me when we're using the OpenAI agents threads and when we spin that up. Or it's called the OpenAI Assistant, right? I've used the OpenAI Assistant. It takes kind of a while to spin it up, to spin up a thread. But I just want to, not going to work on this right now, but just want to show kind of what this service is and what it does. So I built an intent classification. I was using the chained architecture for the voice agent instead of the real-time API. And so I used the chained architecture. I tried to build a voice agent, but I noticed that there was some latency there, right? And so let's see if we can build a diagram. Okay, gotcha. Give me a flow diagram mapping out the system and what it does. Okay, so this is the Blue Cactus AI system right now. So we use Twilio to build out the voice gateway. And then I built an intense classification system using embeddings, and use that to try to determine the turns in the conversation. Then it's funny, but because there was some latency, I ended up like putting like little chair squeaking sounds because I was trying to make a sales discovery agent. So initially, the idea was you're a company, you generate marketing qualified leads. When the marketing qualified leads come in, you have to do a discovery call, right? And the discovery call is just this basic discovery call to collect details. And really, say you want to scale up marketing, but you don't have a big sales team, you end up having to do tons and tons of these discovery calls, and some of them are like bogus, right? Or maybe it's an MQL, but for some reason the person doesn't answer the phone. Or you call them and they thought they had a misunderstanding about the product. And so what the idea was, when an MQL comes in, use this voice agent to immediately call the customer and collect some very basic information, right? Retrieve that information and then schedule something on the Google Calendar. And this is still something, as the models get more and more intelligent, and I'm going to look into OpenAI Agent Kit, look into the OpenAI Real-Time API, and I'm still very interested in this. And so the idea would be, okay, you call, we get your name and your company, we present some availability if you're interested. And I kind of got this working, and I'll show you guys live on stream eventually, and we're going to work on this together. But there was kind of some latency there, and it still kind of felt like not a human, right? And so, I stepped away from this for a bit, but I know, as as these models continue to get more and more intelligent, it may be, the value of this may get extreme. And the idea is, if you have a voice agent that's indistinguishable from a human, we can clone these, right? All of a sudden I have 10, 20 sales agents working on my team. And so this is kind of the flow. And it got a little complex. And so we're going to be revisiting this, and I'm really serious about this. So Abster, no, so right now this just had a dashboard, but I wouldn't have a problem like integrating with ActiveCampaign or Salesforce or any CRM. And, you could have your marketing pipeline connected to your CRM, and you could have your CRM integrated with this, right? And that really wouldn't be an issue, and that would ultimately be the idea, right? And like kind of like an auto dialer. So you got your sales rep, he's in the CRM, he can use this agent to, like an auto dialer. Agent calls, collects discovery schedules, right? So that's the idea with this. And here was like the typical call flow. Hi, I'm Bill. And so just the typical call flow, and that's really it. Let's get back for now. So that's Blue Cactus AI. And back to this. So it's kind of switching context again here. That's the agent's business. Again, a lot of that's built out, but we're going to be refactoring all of it really with Opus 4.5 or Gemini, and rethinking the system design together on stream. And I think, oh, wow. Cool, Abster. Let's definitely, interesting. Very cool. Yeah, please follow, and let's maybe stay connected here. And we could definitely maybe talk at some point once we get this built out. Yeah, thank you, Abster. Appreciate that. So here we're going to be adding the drivers table, the driver UUID links table. We're going to create the CRUD, and then we're going to create the front end. And for now, I think I'm gonna use the restroom, grab some food. So I may end the stream today a little bit earlier. Haven't ate yet today. Yes, interesting. Yeah, Abster. So thanks for joining. I appreciate some of that information. It's helpful, and I'm definitely interested in integrating with CRMs and integrating that product with the CRM. I actually have a quote tool product where it's interesting, but we have hardware that we sell, and the hardware gets financed, right? And um, we we work with different finance partners that have different finance rates, right? And one of the things that we do is I integrate with accounting software Xero, and we fetch that. We can go to any company and I can say, all right, if you load up all of your products into Xero, what I can do is I can pull down all your prices from Xero or QuickBooks, right? And then now I have all your products. Then I have a system where you can enter in your finance rates, right? So, okay, here's my 12-month rate, my 24-month, my 36-month, my 48-month. And what we do is it's a quoting tool, so it'll help you generate quotes, but then we'll take the total cost of that quote, run it against the rate factors for whoever your finance partner is, and help you generate like a quote that includes finance information on it, right? And so I already have that product actually built out, but maybe like a combination of that together with an agent's product that could do like quoting for a sales rep, do discovery call, do quoting. That's when maybe it may be working together with someone like you to integrate deeper with different CRMs and get into the marketplace for those CRMs. That's when things maybe can start to get interesting. So definitely, I like. Thanks for chatting, Abster. Definitely, you got my brain kind of moving here. So I love that. I appreciate that. And I think for now, guys, we are going to pause this stream. Just want to get some food in my stomach and do a couple things offline. But we can look forward to completing this driver ID on the next stream. And you can look forward to working on this agent's business and really fine-tuning the safety platform. Thinking about, okay, which model should we use? How do we build synthetic data set? How can we use diffusion or some of these tools to create data? What tools can we use to annotate and label data to train a model, right? What type of hardware do we need to train the model? And so really want to think through all this stuff together live with you guys, and we can work together. And really, I just I enjoy all things AI, all things software, all things technology. So again, if you enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe. Feel free to chat. I'm always open to answer questions. If you have an interesting problem that you want to brainstorm, pop it in chat and we can think through this kind of stuff together, and just trying to build a community really of vibe coders and people who are interested in big ideas surrounding the space of AI and big, trying to kind of think through the market and maybe where we can try to add some value. So thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see you on the next stream.